Warm greetings of solidarity, everyone. I am Mensch Tilendo from the International League of People's Struggle. Welcome to our webinar, The Anti-Imperialist Peasant Movement, Professor Jose Maria's Season Thought on the Peasant Struggle. This webinar on the peasantry and the peasant agrarian movement is the first installment of the Jose Maria Season study campaign of the ILPS. This month of October was also declared by the ILPS as the International Month of Solidarity for Peasants. Particularly here in the Philippines, this coincides with the Peasant Month as the annual protest commemorating the anniversary of the sham land reform program Presidential Decree 27 of the Marcos dictatorship, and it is on October 21. The week prior was also declared by various peasant movement and food security advocate networks as the Global Week of Solidarity for the Peasant. Through this study campaign series, we hope to underscore the need for anti-feudal struggle to be linked and raised to the anti-imperialist struggle, to highlight the relevance of the correctness of Professor Jose Maria's Season Thought on the peasant struggle, and to foster solidarity and garner support for our peasant struggle against local feudalism and all reaction. In today's webinar, we will shed light on the global peasant movement in this modern era, particularly on semi-feudal societies. This webinar also honors the legacy of former ILPS Chair Emeritus Professor Jose Maria Season's political line of people's struggle through the manifestations from peasant and people's organizations. So to open this webinar, we call on the chairperson of the International League of People's Struggle for his welcome remarks, Len Cooper.
Thank you very much for the invitation and for the introduction. Today, we are honouring the life work of Comrade Joma Sisson with the beginning of the JMS study movement, which is, as said, initiated by the International League of People's Struggle. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar, which is the start of a series that will be known as the JMS Study Movement. This first event in the series is titled The Anti-Imperialist Peasant Movement, Professor Jose Maria Season's Thought on the Peasant Struggle. Joma Sisson, former chair of the ILPS and a prominent leader of the revolutionary struggle of the Filipino people for social and national liberation, was a lifelong teacher, a lifelong learner, a revolutionary, a poet, an anti-imperialist fighter, and a committed worker for socialism, a prolific author, and much more, of course. Through his writings, Joma teaches us about the world as it really is. He exposes the lies of capitalism and imperialism about the world they wish us to have us believe in. He provides us with a way forward, a way out of the mess, the problems, the anarchy, the ever-deepening crisis of capitalism. Through his writings, he inspires us to keep going and how to ensure success. He's left us all an enormous legacy through his work and his commitment. This is the first of the JMS study movement's activities and is to study Joma's pivotal contribution in shaping the peasant agrarian movement and the anti-imperialist struggle throughout the world. This topic comes about as a result of the call by the grassroots membership of ILPS and various peasant movements globally to honour Joma's legacy of correctness in the political line of the people's struggle. To underline this, we would like to congratulate the ILPS Commission 6, the Peasant Commission, and the ILPS Commission 10, Commission on the Rights of Indigenous People, National Minorities, Oppressed Nationalities and Nations, with the valued support from the Asian Peasant Coalition and the People's Coalition on Food Sovereignty Global and other networks for their initiative in this regard. This webinar is also, as has been said, is also part of the International Week of Solidarity with Peasants Worldwide. We hope that throughout the JMS study movement series that we will sharpen our focus on defeating imperialism and building the people's movement for national and social liberation. Again, I would like to extend to you all a very warm welcome to this first session of the JMS study movement on behalf of the ILPS. Please help us honour Joma's legacy and profound impact on the world. Please enjoy. Please be inspired. Our Joma live. Stand with peasants. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Len, for opening the program and laying down the relevance of the Joma Season Study Movement to our anti-imperialist international solidarity. Now we proceed to our first presenter for this webinar to lay down why colonialism and U.S. imperialism are roots of the agrarian crisis in the Philippines, and to reaffirm Professor Season's thought on the necessity of the peasantry and working class unity for land reform and national democracy. We have Rafael Capaeng Mariano from the ILPS Commission 6, who is also the chairperson emeritus of Kilusang Magbubukid ng Pilipinas, or the Philippine Peasant Movement. Take it away, Capaeng.
Thank you very much, Menchi, and a warm greetings of solidarity to everyone. In behalf of the Kilusang Magbubukid ng Pilipinas, or the Peasant Movement of the Philippines. In his speech delivered in Filipino at the First Central Luzon Regional Conference of Kabataang Makabayan at Republic Central Carriages in Angeles City on October 31, 1965, and in English at the College of Agriculture, University of the Philippines, Los Baños, Laguna, on March 23, 1966, on the topic Land Reform and National Democracy. Professor Jose Maria Sison emphasized that the relation between national democracy and land reform is very clear. We can achieve genuine land reform only if we, as a nation, are free from colonial and imperialist domination. In fighting for national democracy against U.S. imperialism and feudalism today, we need to unite the peasantry, the most numerous class in our society, on the side of all other patriotic classes, and we need to unite with the peasantry as the main force or backbone of a national unity and anti-imperialist struggle. He further emphasized that the peasantry will join the anti-imperialist movement only if it is convinced that the movement can bring about a state capable of carrying out land reform. In his long struggle for local social justice, the Filipino peasant has learned that there must first be a decisive change in the character of the state, brought about largely and fundamentally by the Worker-Peasant Alliance. He has learned the lesson a long time ago, that before democratic reforms can be completely effected, the national state must be secured from imperialist control and must be firmed up by the overwhelming support of the peasantry and the working class, whose alliance is far more reliable and more qualitatively powerful than the peasant Ilustrado combination, which became frustrated by U.S. imperialism at the start of this century, unquote. First slides, please. Okay. In Professor Sison's message in the National Founding Congress of KMP, Kilusang Bukid ng Pilipinas, Peasant Movement of the Philippines on July 24, 1985, Professor Sison stressed that united in National Alliance, Peasant Association can grow stronger and became more effective, can arise where they do not exist, and can generate a powerful movement not only to force land reform and uplift the economic conditions of the peasant masses, but also to make them the main political force in the struggle of national freedom and democracy. After all, he said that the peasantry is the majority class in the semi-colonial and semi-feudal society. The solution of the land problem is the main content of the National Democratic Revolution. In the course of carrying out that solution, the peasant masses emerge as the backbone not only of the economy, but also of democracy. The problem of feudal and semi-feudal exploitation cannot be solved in a profound and lasting way without the political struggle and victory of the peasant masses against the fascist regime and against the local tyrant. Next slide, please. Also, in his message to the founding Congress of KMP on July 24, 1985, Professor Sison added that the Kilosang Magbubukid ng Pilipinas, or the peasant movement of the Philippines, must use as possible legal means to prevent people's enemies from using their political and military power to put down the peasant masses. Professor Sison emphasized that the key objective of the peasant movement is to achieve land reform, essentially the breakup of feudal land ownership and the redistribution of land to landless tillers. Close quote. Next slide, please.
Bilis naman.
In his address to the Asian Peasant Coalition during its Second General Assembly in Bandung, Indonesia, December 19, 2021, from December 19 to 21, 2006, Professor Sison said, in the most third world countries, the main problems are landlessness and the feudal and semi-feudal exploitation of the peasant masses who compose the majority of the population. The forces and relation of production in agriculture and semi-feudal economies are backward. The big compradors and landlords are dictated upon by foreign monopoly capitalism and driven by their own reactionary class interests to oppose genuine land reform and national industrialization. The land reform programs decked out by the big comprador landlord regimes in semi-colonial and semi-feudal countries are bogus and tokenistic, he said. In his address to the Asian Peasant Coalition, the same Second General Assembly, he continued that land reform induces the peasants to raise agricultural production for food and industrial processing and create a larger domestic market for industries. National industrialization will ensure the supply of consumer and production goods for the peasants, raise the standards of living and their productivity, and expand industries in order to absorb the growing labor force in the country, especially in the countryside. Next slide, please. In his solidarity message during the 7th Congress of KMP on March 18, 1923, messages, March 18 to 1923 and March 17, 23. He said that under the neoliberal policy, the imperialists and their puppets have destroyed our food sovereignty and self-sufficiency. The further expansion of plantation of fruits for export and the production of biofuel in the country are destroying local food production. Let us fight imperialist control of the peasant harvest, the wages of farm workers, and the prices of farm products. Let us fight the imperialist plunder in agriculture, control of seeds in IRRI, and propagation of genetically modified seeds and plants. He ended. Next slide, please. In Professor Season's message during KM at page 50, no, on the topic continuing the advocacy for genuine agrarian reform, dated February 21, 2014, he stressed and clarified that we must aim for genuine or rounded and well-balanced development in which the people are the agents of change and are the beneficiary, and we must overcome imperialist and class exploitation and all accumulated and current social, economic, political, cultural, and environmental injustices. We must oppose and stop the few from monopolizing productive assets and using this to further enrich themselves by exploiting and oppressing the working people. Close quote. He had also a inspirational message of solidarity with the rural poor in Southern Tagalog on April 26 to 27, 2010, on strengthening unity for genuine land reform. He said, Professor Season said that the ruling classes always respond with bloody suppression using the military, police, and paramilitary and private armed goons, as well as with deception in the form of bogus land reform. With the passage of time, the bogus land reform of the ruling classes has become more cunning and deceptive. Close quote. So, in addition, Professor Season said with his message during the 33rd anniversary of the Mindoro Massacre on January 22, 2020. He said, and I quote, "In the absence of both genuine land reform and national industrialization, the broad masses of the Filipino people have no choice but to wage a revolutionary struggle for national and social liberation against the semi-colonial and semi-feudal ruling system." The same with this message during the online forum or in Europe. He said that the main content of the People's Democratic Revolution is agrarian revolution. This is ultimately taking away the land from the big landlord and comprador and distributing the land free to peasants who proceed to develop their cooperatives from one stage to a higher one on the widening scales of the municipality, district, and province. So that's the very objective of genuine land reform with free land distribution as the central goal and basic principle is to break up the land monopoly control of a few big landlords, comprador, and aiming at abolishing domestic feudalism, remnants of domestic feudalism, and for total emancipation of the peasant masses from various forms of feudal and semi-feudal exploitation. During the 7th Congress of KMP, the Peasant Movement of the Philippines, on the topic advance the agrarian revolution, intensify the struggle for national democracy, a solidarity message of Professor Jose Maria Sison. He emphasized that the expansion of plantation producing the export and owned by foreign corporations and big compradors and landlords must be opposed. Oppose the land grabbing of lands that should be owned by the poor peasants. No? It is in the countryside where the brutal campaigns of suppression and violation of human rights are rampant the state wants to preserve the feudal and semi-feudal system of exploitation, you should be good of documenting, exposing, and opposing the criminal attacks of the state in the countryside. Oppose the criminalization of agrarian cases and peasant leaders. You should strengthen your links with organizations that defended human rights and democratic rights. Such statements of Professor Jose Maria Zison serve as a big challenge and inspiration to the delegates of the 7th Congress of KMP in the year 2013. Next slide, please. On the Peasant Worker Alliance, in his message to the National Founding Congress of Kilusang Magbukid ng Pilipinas, also on July 24, 1985, he emphasized that the peasant masses must be the main force of the national democratic movement led by the proletariat, founded on the basic worker peasant alliance, and including all other patriotic and progressive forces, especially the urban petty bourgeoisie and the middle bourgeoisie, unquote. On the struggle of peasants and solidarity with various peasant organizations, not only in Asia but in the whole world, against the fight against imperialism. In his address to the Asian Peasant Coalition during its second General Assembly, also in Bandung, on December 19 to 21, 2006, Professor Jose Maria Zison said that in fighting for national democracy against U.S. imperialism, feudalism today, we need to it is his message during the Kabataang Makabayan Conference on October 31, 1965, rather. He emphasized that in fighting for national democracy against U.S. imperialism and feudalism today, we need to unite the peasantry, the most numerous class in our society, and on the side of all other patriotic classes, and we need to unite with the peasantry as the main force or backbone of our national unity and anti-imperialist struggle. Now, and during in his message to the Second General Assembly also of the Asian Peasant Coalition in 2006, Professor Zison stressed that an imperialist power is by nature violent and aggressive, both in subjugating and oppressing entire peoples and nations, and in engaging in economic competition and political rivalry with other imperialist powers. The growth in economic and military strength of any imperialist power or group of imperialist powers upset the existing balance of forces among the imperialists and can lead to another imperialist war to redivide the world. Next slide, please. I could now make a narration or enumeration of anti-imperialist struggles and protests joined by and participated in by the peasant movements, peasant organizations, not only here in the Philippines or in Asia, but other parts of the world. Like, in the Philippines, first, the anti-US bases campaign and protest. And then the protest against the International Rice Research Institute, the protest against the protest against the prescription and anti-people, anti-development prescriptions and the loan conditionalities of the IMF World Bank and its policies and their policies. Also, the protest and the struggle of the peasants against and even the workers and other sectors and classes, not only of Philippine society, in the Philippine society, against the ratification of general agreements on tariffs and trade and World Trade Organizations, not only the entry of the Philippines in the World Trade Organizations, but a number of militant protest actions against WTO and resistance to imperialist globalization, not only in the Philippines but also in Cancun, Mexico, in the Battle of Seattle in the United States, in Cancun, Mexico, in Hong Kong, and also in Bali, Indonesia. Also, the protest against APEC and imperialist globalization in November 1996, and also in the year 2015 in Manila, and also the protest and strong oppositions against the neoliberal policies of quote unquote free market globalization or neoliberal globalization. But we in the KMP, we usually term it and say it as imperialist globalization. And during this year, we also KMP and other peasant organizations joined the broad protest actions against the ratification of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, the RCEP, calling for the rejection of RCEP and to stop import liberalization policy and promote food security, food self-sufficiency, and food sovereignty. Also, in Professor Season's message, in the address to the Asian Peasant Coalition Second General Assembly in Bandung, he added that, however, the prevailing reaction of the imperialists and the local reactionaries to such condition, the condition which is characterized by various forms of exploitation, oppression, not only on the peasantry, but also in other toiling masses in the countrysides of underdeveloped countries. He said that the prevailing reaction of the imperialists and the local reactionaries to such condition is not to carry out any genuine and thoroughgoing land reform, but to conduct in the name of anti-terrorism campaign of suppression against peasant unrest and resistance. Also, in that Second General Assembly of Asian Peasant Coalition, Professor Season made a challenge to APC, the Asian Peasant Coalition, that the Asian Peasant Coalition is a highly important framework for various forms of cooperation among the peasant movements in Asia that are struggling to urgent basic social reforms. It is a framework for raising the level of consciousness, organization, and mobilization of the peasant masses. You can learn valuable lessons from each other's struggles, thus strengthening both your coalition and individual members, and each individual members. Your coordinated campaigns and actions against the onslaught of imperialist and feudal forces contribute to the overall weakening and eventual defeat of the imperialist system of exploitation and oppression. Close quote. So In his solidarity message to Asian Peasant Coalition, Asian Coalition Caravan on April 12, 2010, Professor Jose Maria Sison said that as a very clear point of analysis that the monopoly capitalists recognize that land is an indispensable asset for the production of food and other raw materials for industry. Thus, they are now taking over vast tracts of land in Africa, Asia, and Latin America for the cultivation of food and agrofuels, as well as the extraction of timber, minerals, and other resources for export to imperialist countries. They are strengthening their monopoly control over all the world's productive resources at the expense of the lives and livelihood of the people and the health of the planet. Close quote. Next slide, please. In the same solidarity message, during the People's Caravan spearheaded by Asian Peasant Coalition on April 22, 2010, Professor Sison emphasized that if the APC could unite the billions of Asian peasants, then we would reach the early dawn of a new era of freedom, democracy, development, social justice, and peace. We know that this is a gargantuan task for several generations to accomplish, but we can strive to score significant victories in our own generation. We call on each and all of the APC member organizations to strengthen unity and cooperation. As imperialism maneuvers and draws up new plans for further exploiting and oppressing the peoples of the world, we should think of creative and effective ways to accomplish our goals. We of the International League of People's Struggle aware the APC of all out support. So next slide, please. In Professor Sison's message on the year of rice action against the 50th year of the International Rice Research Institute on April 12, 2010, Professor Sison Tajoma stressed that, emphasized that the International Rice Research Institute is a notorious arm of imperialism. The World Bank acted like a mob boss. It initially shelled out $1 billion for the program to get Philippine agriculture, quote unquote, addicted to agrochemicals that were part of the new IRRI design farming packages. The most important objective of the IRRI is to pave the way for the TNCs to make super profits. It is very heartening to see the numerous groups have united in calling for the abolition of IRRI. 50 long years or 5 decades are more than enough proof that the IRRI is useless in solving the problem of hunger in the world. The IRRI has exposed itself as a bane to the world's agriculture. The development of traditional varieties that are not dependent on agrochemicals marketed by TNCs is a breakthrough for the human civilization. We in the International League of People's Struggle applaud the groups who advocate sustainable agriculture using traditional and indigenous seed varieties, but sustainable agriculture can only be widely adopted if it is part of a genuine land reform program. Close quote. Next slide, please. I think I'm now concluding. What is to be done? No? In his message, a speech delivered during the first Central Luzon Regional Conference of KM, Kabataang Makabayan, on October 31, 1965, he made a challenge that there was no point, and he said, there is no point in making a rural investigation if the facts learned from the masses are not analyzed and processed into terms for basic comprehension of problems as well as solutions. The activists of national democracy should show to the peasants, especially those who have no land at all and those who do not have enough land, the essence of their suffering and arouse them to solve their own problem. The concrete step that can be immediately taken by the activists of national democracy is to organize peasant associations dedicated to fighting for democratic rights of the peasantry. He further said in another occasion, he made as a challenge with its own, and I quote, with its own integrity as a legal mass organization, addressed to KMP, the KMP must raise the national and democratic consciousness of the peasant masses and must promptly and earnestly face up to the many issues churned by the crisis at the global, national, and local levels. The recruitment of members must be accelerated and must bring the number of members to the millions. Members must be recruited and local chapters must be formed where the KMP, where there are none, through meetings to explain the programs and constitution of KMP. The organized masses must avail of campaigns to persuade the unorganized masses to become members of the KMP and become a PM part of the peasant movement. Here's another challenge made with regards to this very important message. And I quote, "It is a requirement for the next harvest of big address to the APC, the Asian Peasant Coalition. It is a requirement for the next harvest of victories and for your long-term advance that you evaluate the work of APC and its secretariat and highlight its assessment points to guide its work ahead. Unify your ranks on the practical application of principles and framework in your struggle for genuine agrarian reform, as well as your networking, alliance, and solidarity building to consolidate and strengthen APC leadership, membership, and its secretariat to effectively fulfill its mandate and task and come up with a general program of action, trust, and directions, and a common Asia-wide campaign." So for now, the last challenge he made, and a call to, we call it a call for action that he made, the Professor Seasons made, and I quote, "The peasants and farm workers need to organize themselves and wage militant resistance to defend themselves and assert their rights. They have to struggle for the people's national sovereignty and democratic rights and for genuine reform and national industrialization. They must join up with the rest of the people in advancing the struggle to achieve national and democratic power necessary for carrying out comprehensive land reform, pursuing national industrialization, and undertaking other reforms to promote the people's livelihood and well-being. For this, for giving me a time to make a
All right. Okay. So thank you very much, Kapa Eng, for that great discussion of Professor Season's historical analysis of the colonial and agrarian question in the Philippines, the important solidarity messages he had delivered to various rural poor communities and peasant organizations in the Philippines and in the other countries, and also the importance of the Peasant Worker Alliance in forwarding the call for genuine agrarian land reform. And also thank you for highlighting Professor Season's key message that indeed, in the absence of both genuine land reform and national industrialization, the broad masses waging a revolutionary anti-imperialist struggle for national and social liberation is inevitable. Now, our next presenter will discuss Professor Sison's message to the peasant women liberation movement in the Philippines and the women as a vital group in Philippine society and revolution. We have Kathy Estavillo, the Secretary General of Amihan, National Federation of Peasant Women.
Okay, thank you, Menchi. Good evening to everybody. Good evening to everybody who are in the Zoom room. And it's indeed an opportunity to be part of the first series of Professor Joma Sison's study campaign on the peasantry and the peasant agrarian movement. So in behalf of the peasant women movement in the Philippines, we honor Ka Joma Sison for his significant contribution and analysis of the correctness of the national democratic struggle in a semi-feudal and semi-colonial context in the Philippines. The people's movement in the Philippines are waging war against local landlords, bureaucrat capitalists, and US imperialism, which women's liberation movement, particularly in the rural areas in the Philippines, contribute to the ongoing struggle of the Filipino people. Next slides, please. Yeah. In his writing and analysis in the Philippine struggle, such as Philippine Society and Revolution in 1970, Message to Makibakaw Congress of Makabayang Kilusan ng Bagong Kababaihan in 1972, or Struggle Patriotic Movement of New Women, and special mass course on women, Professor Joma highlighted that the majority of women in the Philippines are peasant women. So it is really necessary. The backbone of women in women's liberation movement cannot be but be the peasant women. These were some of the writings that were considered significant in terms of analysis, tactics, and strategies for empowering, organizing, and mobilizing peasant women in terms of asserting their economic rights and political rights. And he said, next slides, please. In the countryside, a women's liberation movement was embedded in and served the peasant movement. With the participation of women farmers in the struggle of peasant class, great forces were mobilized. The People's Democratic Movement, and the women's movement. Given their number, the largest sector in women in the Philippines, they have a very important role in the advancement of the struggle for genuine agrarian reform and national industrialization. Next slides, please. In his Makibaka, he highlighted the historical role of peasant women, especially their role in advancing the national democratic revolution. The very function of women and peasant women in leading the revolutionary movement and progressive people's movement was liberation itself, compared to the traditional and customary expectation of the sector to be subservient to the feudal and bourgeoisie patriarchal culture. Peasant women who decided to be full-time revolutionaries were endowed with equality, freedom from discrimination, and other social oppressive practices, treated as a norm in the reactionary or conservative culture. Those leading and actively participating in local barrio women's associations were hired equally with male peasant activists. Moreover, peasant women activists were educated on their socioeconomic and gender rights, which empowered them against patriarchal tendencies. So in areas where there are strong peasant women's organization or peasant women's movement, they are in the forefront of defending their rights to the land they are tilling, no, defending their rights to land against land grabbing, and of course, defending their campaigning against neoliberal policies that is being pushed by the puppet government. So with this, the very important role of peasant women in social change is really very important. In the next slides, please. In the book Philippine Society and Revolution, we take pride and accept the challenge of being cited as a special social group, significant and urgently needing to be aroused, organized, and mobilized. We comprehend that women's sector should be educated and consolidated to advance a social and political movement to attain fundamental reforms. This was in total contrast to the ruling semi-feudal system where women were discriminated against, oppressed, and exploited, even though there rose puppet regimes led by women such as former Cory Aquino and Gloria Macapagal Arroyo regimes. These never translated to the emancipation of women in Filipino society. This was because they were mere lackeys of US imperialism and champions of the ruling class. Generally, the PSR dared the Filipino women's sector to take on the historical task of advancing the sector's liberation alongside the people's liberation from US imperialism, feudalism, and bureaucrat capitalism. Next slide, please. The special course on women, usually called a special mass course or 3-in-1, wherein the topics discussed here are the history of women's movement, the need to advance the struggle the struggle for genuine agrarian reform, and the solution to the basic problem faced by peasant women are being given to is a mass education among peasant women. This refers to the peasant class women and youth. This type of classification declaring the education work for women as essential and must for each activist in the Philippines was a historic breakthrough. This also meant that the primary force in advancing the national democratic movement included women. This was a clear declaration for a mass campaign to be successful through organizing women, especially peasant women. Practically, areas that could consolidate peasant women's association could defend against systematic attacks of the puppet regimes. We could also see local chapters of peasant. We could also see local chapters of peasant movement being led and composed of peasant women activists. Many peasant women leaders rose by being educated and organized with the guidance of the said specific mass course, special mass course. With this, the peasant movement would have missed the great advantage of being led and composed of active peasant women. So it is very clear that the role of peasant women in our struggle is really important in advancing the issues faced by the peasantry and especially peasant women. It is therefore very imperative as an urgent task to organize, mobilize the broadest number of women, the peasant women in the countryside, to address the issue of landlessness that has never been as compelling as today. The poorest of the poor remain the landless in the rural areas, where the worst poverty and hunger are found. As they assert their right to the land, they need to address the persistence of the various unique forms of violence that women suffer in their assertion to their right to the land in the context of anti-terrorism law and the global war against terrorism, and the continuing strength of patriarchal beliefs and practices in the rural areas. So these are the different issues faced by peasant women, But despite that, peasant women are always in the forefront of the struggle against the encroachment of landlord to their land, against land grabbing, against militarization, against the continuing enactment of the different neoliberal policies here in the Philippines, and of course against the enhanced defense cooperation agreement, which has already sprouted in the different communities of the peasants. So with this, we would like to say that it's really very important, and peasant women's issues are not only circulated in the communities, the national level, but also in the international activities where peasant women joins in against imperialist problems. Thank you. So these are the campaigns that peasant women launch in the community where they belong. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kathy, for that wonderful discussion of Professor Season's teachings on women liberation. Indeed, the backbone of the peasant liberation movement in the Philippines are the peasant women. Also, for the reiteration of Professor Season's key points in his book, Philippine Society and Revolution, that the political education and consolidation of the women's sector is vital in advancing fundamental reforms, as opposed to what Professor Season was saying to the ruling semi-feudal system where women were discriminated against, oppressed, and exploited. Now, at this point, we are very grateful to have here with us reactors from different social movements and peasant organizations in the other countries. To start off, we have Chinaya Puguri, chairperson of the Asian Peasant Coalition and the national secretary of the APVVU, a trade union federation in Andhra Pradesh, India.
Thank you, Lisa. And also thanks a lot to Kapaing and also Kathy for their great presentation where they could able to expose the issues of monopoly capitalism and imperialist forces, how they have been trying to put down the efforts of the peasant communities. However, globally we could see the rise of peasants cannot be stopped. The global capitalism and the monopoly capitalism and then imperialist forces in the name of democracy, they use the democracy today to bring back their values and cultures into the societies where they could able to short-term gain the benefits, but in reality, they cannot succeed, which we have been witnessing all over the places, what it has been read from the preceding presenters. You all might be knowing that how when the government of India brought down 3 repressive legislations against the peasantry and the farmers in the country, 1 year continuous struggle, the government has no other option than withdrawing all the Dracula legislations. This is the power of the peasants globally, which has been exposing from time to time. And it is a challenge, definitely, but at the same time, there is no lose of their power. So we have been seeing how the feudalism coming up in different forms and different ways to capture whatever the meager resources that are there with the communities in the society. Land, water, forests are the inalienable rights of the peasant community globally, particularly southern countries where the monopoly capitalism has been coming in different ways and different means to grab forcefully, using the state as a tool, in the name of democracy, taking away whatever the meager resources left with these communities. So that's why it is in that context when the globalization, liberalization, and then privatization is coming up in full swing to survive their own economies, depending and looting from our resources. The Asian Peasant Coalition and many other platforms across Asia and globally is coming up and has come up and then showed its strength collectively to attend the problems of the people and also gain the support of the communities to see that how to protect the people from land grab, how to isolate these companies and corporate sector to take over the lands in our places, and how to bring the governments down to the listening of the people in order to, though it may be to pacify, to bring the positive legislations, but they don't have the political will to implement, so where the people had to force these governments to listen to us. And though the governments has been taking away the progressive elements and progressive forces to work in the open grounds, but the people have been really see that how these kind of forces has been isolated and make sure that the people are coming back to the power to taking over their lands. For example, No Land, No Life campaign that Asia Peasant Coalition along with other allied organizations has initiated has been helping the movements to come up collectively, as of course, as a part of the ILPS Commission 6, cutting across our boundaries, we have been extending solidarities to see that we restore the land and water and forest rights in the hands of these fisher communities, Dalits and OBCs, and then real agriculture workers and peasants, and also Adivasis, to restore that by taking the law implementation level to the government. But we don't stop there. We have been really taking up our hands together to see that these governments are to be really questioned in the name of democracy, how the autocracy, religious fundamentalism, and then fascism has been coming up. And you have noticed how India, being a religious fundamentalist groups, hand in glue with the Zionism to support the present war. And this is the way these forces are coming together to take away the rights of the people who have been fighting for their land and livelihood, and then who are the people feeding the world are really becoming problematic. So facing the problems. So it is in that context, ILPS Commission 6 has been bringing people together and see that any anti-peasant activities at grassroots level has been exposing not only in locally and making it as any local struggle, we are making it is global struggle. Linking from local to globalization, global among the people's movements are taking up, which is giving hope for the grassroots level movement to really taking over restore our lands, livelihood, resources. You see, in India, land grab has been taking place from time to time, and I am speaking only not in India, in the whole of South Asia, has been grabbing. Unlike earlier, it has happened in Philippines. Here, they wanted to now come in a new way to take over the large chunks of lands, removing the land reform laws as a kind of the stumbling blocks and coming up in force way. So dams, in the name of dams, deforestation is taking place. Mines and minerals are looting from the forest, displacing the indigenous community, which has been, they have been nurturing the forest and our climate for centuries and generations, helping the people to survive in other areas. But without mercilessly, these governments has been encroaching their domains and taking over their domains into the hands of the market economy and corporate culture. So this will not be anymore continued, and people have been getting support, and across the countries we are together today. Even we are going ahead today with 16 days global action. Collectively, many of the movements have been working, cutting across the boundaries to exposing the issues of the climate change and the ecological justice issues, because this is the way we should see that how no one is left behind in our struggles to protect our natural resources and inalienable rights over the natural resources. Thank you very much for giving me such opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Chanaya, for your message and extending your warm solidarity all the way from India. Indeed, our Indian brothers and sisters from the peasantry have been in the same struggle for the right to land and life. Now, our second reactor has been with the Filipino people in the fight for rights and in the struggle for social justice. To give us a testimony over more than 28 years of linking arms with Filipino peasants and their struggle, and of the correctness of Professor Season's work on the anti-imperialist struggle of peasants, we have Sister Patricia Fox from Australia.
Thank you,
On niya ka mo
Menchi.
yung camera niya.
And thanks, Kapaing, Kathy, and Janae. I think from what I understand, the revolutionary peasant struggle in the Philippines has been ongoing for many years. And there have been many bogus land reforms which were legislated by puppet governments, like that of Marcos Sr.'s Presidential Decree 27, which is remembered this month. And just as those before and those after, it never tackled the basic problem that those who tilled the land had no ownership or control of it, no support services, tenants paid exorbitant rents, and with the introduction of chemical-dependent varieties, particularly of rice, and the ever-growing cost of inputs, the farmers are drowning in debt. So no wonder it was often said that the farmers grow the food, but they are the ones going hungry. It seems the situation is becoming even more exacerbated with the crisis of capitalism, leading to the intensification of plunder of land, water, minerals, and forest, all of which increase landlessness, poverty, and hunger. Imperialist organizations such as the IMF, World Bank, World Trade Organization, APEC, and other regional agreements ensure that the profits of the large corporations take precedence over the welfare of the people. Instead of putting resources into local food production to ensure food security, the government prioritizes importation to the detriment of local production, and in fact, killing it off in a lot of areas. And just to add a little bit from here, as the contradiction between China and the USA ramps up, Australia stepping in has increased the relationship with the Philippines to strategic partnership. And apart from military support, there's an upcoming meeting between trade ministers, and the Australian government is looking into, or the corporations at least, are looking into going to agri-food and of course continuing mining, among other things, and all with the aim of making profit at the expense of the Filipino farmer, not to mention the effects on the climate. And as Kapaing reminded us, Kajama said that food security is based on genuine agrarian reform and nationalist industrialization. And I have to say, I had the privilege of working with groups such as KMP and UMA when I was in the Philippines, who work to empower the farmers and agricultural workers to struggle for land, justice, and freedom. And there are many success stories that can be told. But as Joma warned, and as the capitalist crisis worsens, we see increase in the brutal response from the ruling class. This has included bombings, and how many of us don't have friends and comrades who've been red tagged by the fascist Marcos Duterte regime, have been arrested, killed, or disappeared for asserting their right to land and justice. Yet the message of Kajama to arouse, organize, mobilize, and raise the political consciousness of the masses remains the only way to break the imperialist domination and win true democracy, freedom, and peace. I commend all those peasants who will not be silent and continue the militant struggle. I commend the peasant coalitions and the people in all the countries who are struggling for justice, freedom for the peasants. And because we all know that the struggle of the peasants is the struggle of us all, because we all need food. We in countries such as Australia stand in solidarity with all the peasants, exposing the situation of farmers and calling out our governments. Long live the peasant struggle against imperialist plunder. Long live international solidarity.
All right. The farmers grow the food, but they are the ones going hungry. Thank you, Sister Patricia, for your continuing warm solidarity with the Filipino peasants and for highlighting the hand of U.S. imperialism through the IMF and the World Bank, its fascist ruling class, and puppet governments such as Marcos Duterte regime in the further exploitation and oppression of the peasantry. We also appreciate how you mentioned that national industrialization and genuine agrarian reform are vital to achieving food security. Thank you to all our speakers for your discussions and your presentations. At this point, we are moving on to our open forum. You may type down your questions in the Zoom chat box or through the Facebook live stream comments for those who are watching on Facebook. And please indicate if your question is addressed to a specific speaker or to all the speakers. So we are already opening the floor to your questions. Okay, so we have one question. This one is for Kapaeng. Okay, so for Kapaeng, how to further strengthen the basic alliance of peasants and workers for the national liberation movement in the Philippines and other neo-colonial states?
One important, I think, a primary way of strengthening and consolidating the worker-peasant alliance is by advocating and pushing for the implementation of genuine land reform and national industrialization, because there are the bonds of this worker-peasant alliance. And also by joining the campaigns, protests of the workers, and the workers supporting and joining, participating in the campaigns, protests, and advocacies of the peasant masses. And also by both the workers and peasants with their basic alliance. I think, not only I think, but based on our experiences, are in the forefront of the anti-feudal, anti-fascist, and anti-imperialist struggles in the case of the Philippines and other countries. Meaning, like, for instance, now the workers have the campaign to increase, campaigning for a wage increase. We strongly support that that campaign, and also the campaign of the peasantry, Filipino peasantry, to repeal the rice liberalization law or the rice tariffication law, and the enactment of proposed Rice Industry Development Act. So we also have the support of the workers and other classes and sectors of Philippine society, and also by our role and contribution, the peasants and workers' contribution in the strengthening and expansion of the democratic and anti-imperialist formations and coalitions and league like the ILPS, the APC, the Asian Peasant Coalition. So there are and there will be more expressions of strong solidarity ties or relations in concrete, with the struggles of the peasants and workers, not only in the Philippines, not only in Asian countries, but in other countries that the struggles of peasants, farmers, workers are very basic and necessary, to weaken the instruments and of imperialism towards imperialism's defeat, like the campaign against WTO, campaigns against APEC, and resistance to imperialist globalization, like that. So there are many forms and expressions of solidarity and how to strengthen further the Worker-Peasant Alliance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Kapaeng, for your answer. Now, the next question is addressed to Kathy Estavillo. So to Kathy, how will peasant movements further encourage the participation of peasant women in the anti-imperialist struggle?
Okay, thank you, Menchi. Actually, in the decades of a peasant women's struggle, we've been in the forefront of this anti-imperialist campaign, wherein the peasant women have of course the effect of imperialist what do you call this, problems, in the government, in our country. It really affected peasant women, like the land grabbing, militarization, mining, that have displaced them to their living, to displace them from their displaced farmers, farmers. So it is through we campaign and we participate in the different campaigns in the international level to bring the issues of peasant women with the other countries, because imperialist does not only affect Filipino people, but also the struggling peasant in the different countries, especially in the Southeast Asia. So from there, we exchange also. We what do you call this? We do online webinar with our friends abroad, to expose these problems caused by imperialist domination in our country. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kathy. So this next question is addressed to all speakers. Anyone can answer. So the question is from Paul of IPMSDL. Since it's a burning topic nowadays, how do we contextualize the current Palestinian resistance and the US-backed Zionist Israeli attacks on Palestine and the imperialist war and proxy wars of aggression to the peoples or farmers' fight for land and food? So who would want to go first? So any speaker and even from our reactors? Maybe we can start with Kapaeng.
Yes, thank you, Menchi. So that's the basic character of an imperialist country like the United States, launching its aggression or proxy war.
Kapaeng,
And
excuse me, maybe you can turn on your video. Sorry, apologies for
sorry.
interjecting. All right, there you go.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
So,
Kapaeng.
so that's a very basic character of imperialist, primarily U.S. imperialist, to launch direct aggression, intervention, proxy war, or intervention in the affairs of any country who or people who are asserting their right, no, their rights, democratic rights, fundamental rights, their right to have, the right to resist, no, against tyranny and oppression, no, and because particularly, most primarily, the United States, with the launching of imperialist wars and aggression. So that's the very lifeblood of the U.S. Industrial military complex, no? And also with this what you call this, imposing its geopolitical agenda, no, and interest, no. That is not with this now. We could say, although there's no direct hand of the U.S. now in what is happening in Gaza Strip, uh, uh, but historically, the United States have been supporting, the quote-unquote Israeli government against the Palestinians asserting their rights, no? And in other countries also, it is within the Indo-Pacific strategy now of the U.S. In the Korean Peninsula, for instance, the U.S. spearheaded the formation of having this Japan, U.S., South Korea trilateral military alliance. It's not only against the China, but primarily against the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. As long as the U.S. and its nuclear wars and more than 28 military personnel are on the Korean Peninsula, particularly on South Korean soil, no, the southern part of Korea, there will be no just and lasting peace in the Korean Peninsula and in the Asia Pacific region and in the whole world, So, but the contradiction between the imperialists, primarily the U.S. imperialists, on the one hand, and the country or countries, asserting their sovereignty on the other hand, will really intensify and the aspiration of the peoples of the world for a just and lasting peace, with to have a bright future, should not be compromised and should be defended and become a strong anti-imperialist points of struggles, campaigns, and cooperation amongst the not only peasant, but also people's movements in different parts of the world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kapaeng. Kathy, do you have anything to add?
I think I go with the statement of Kapaeng, and we could see that the U.S. imperialists now, the proxy war he is waging in the different countries, especially those asserting their rights, no, is really threatening our basic right. So the only solution to this is let's consolidate the members of the International League of People's Struggle. Let's consolidate our movement, no, our movement to really expose the face, no, the what do you call this, the character of the character of US, of which the toiling masses are really affected with this proxy wars being waged by the US, no, our especially the puppet government is really supporting their the war engaged by US. So it's we should really unite the people, no, should really unite against the US imperialists.
Menchi, just to add, the right to self-determination, no? Asserting and defending by the people, no, is more than assertion of civil, political, social, what call this, economic and cultural rights, which are yes, indivisible, universal, and interdependent. Because the right to self-determination is an inalienable right. No? So that's the right of the people. No? The what we call this, the people's sovereignty, or the that should be upheld at all costs. No, so that's why the not only the peasant movement in the Philippines, but the National Democratic Movement, the National Liberation Movement, the Philippines, and its forces are in one with the struggle of the Palestinians for the right to self-determination. To and for the countries that are now subject to economic sanctions, blockades, and whatever forms of intervention, interference in the internal affairs are asserting their right, no, their sovereign right as a people and as a nation, as a country. So those peoples who are asserting the rights, most primarily the right to self-determination, must be supported. No? Must be a concrete expression of our people-to-people solidarity. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your answers, Kapaeng and Kathy. And thank you for our participants also for actively joining in the program. And as much as the speakers would want to address all of your questions, our time is running out and running short, and we need to consider how late it is for our international colleagues and audiences. So given that, we now proceed to the synthesis and closing remarks by the ILPS Vice Chairperson, Azra Saeed.
Thank you so much, Mench, and thank you to all our speakers today here. It was wonderful to have a solidarity of the forces across the country, across the world, given what is happening currently. And this was a very timely seminar because Kajoma was one of the most brilliant, not only scholars, but one of the most militant revolutionaries of our time. And what he has left for us to follow is much needed at this point in time of history, where imperialism has come out to be one of the most violent, brutal forces now enacting on our lands across the globe, So just to synthesize what has been said by Kapaeng, by Kathy, and our other reactors from Australia, Sister Pat and Chanaya from India, I would just like to highlight, I think the most critical learning is that a revolution has to be fought. There is no other way out of this stranglehold on people's lives and livelihoods, on people's rights that the semi-colonial, semi-feudal system has. This was, I think, the most critical message which Kajoma left with us as well. And it was emphasized today over and over again by all our speakers, and rightly so, of course, because the yoke of imperialism is really based on creating a very violent, brutal state leadership in our countries, a very fake leadership in our countries, who create systems of oppression, of exploitation, which the imperialists take great pleasure in then coming and pushing us into extreme poverty and hunger. Another key message, of course, there's just no way of ever not making that the most critical force is land reforms. We cannot overcome the legacies of colonialism, which are very rampant in our countries, all across Asia, especially of feudalism. And unless we break the forces of feudalism, we will never be able to have a national sovereignty in the country. That was stated many, many times today. And the readings of Kajoma are really based on that premise, that being with a proletariat-led revolution, the other major sector that has to be part of the front lines of our revolution have to be the peasant masses, which are a majority of our countries. The lessons he gave us were very clear. If we want to overcome exploitation, if we want to overcome oppression, if we want, as Kapaeng just said, the inalienable right to self-determination, then the basic tool is, of course, arousing, organizing, and mobilizing to take over our lands, our entire resources of our countries, which are the right of the people and not the right of the imperialists. And so I really like the point which Kathy made was of mass education. Of course, it is also a lesson which personally I have learned from our Filipino revolutionaries, that unless we go into mass education, mass political education, we cannot really be able to bring to light amongst the peasantries. We learn from them the extreme exploitation that our peasantry and our workers face. That is the lesson we learn from them. But then to just learn, to have knowledge is not enough. What we really need to do is action. And so mass education, political education, to systematically analyze what we learn from our social investigations has to be put into action. And so that is very clear. And then it was very well said that APC is a very, very critical instrument of bringing that solidarity and unity and cooperation among the masses, not only in each of our national boundary lines, but across. This imperialism cannot be fought without having a very strong, massive mass movement in our countries, in our regions. And so we already are very, very strategically placed, because we have not only APC, but many other coalitions which are there under the umbrella of ILPS, the International League of People's Struggle. And we need to make full use of it in the current scenario, which Chanaya pointed out very rightly so, which Sister Pat talked about, in debt, in hunger, in the social breakdown of our entire system. And then Chinaya talked about the increasing land struggles that are happening in India, the kind of violations that are people facing in India, and also in Pakistan, the country from which I come. Every day, there are more and more international agreements made by our puppet governments to give away land to these foreign corporations, to these foreign states who want to grow food from our lands, use our resources, our water, our forest, our mines, everything which is ours, to increase their profit, to actually hold us in the yoke of almost slave-like conditions as what people in our countries are now facing. Sister Pat also talked about the WTO, the APEC, and the various, so did Kapang, of the various very, very imperialist institutions which have been let loose like mad dogs on us to take away control from us in our production, in our social and economic life. And so coming to the very, very, very difficult reality of what is happening in Gaza, it was very well pointed out that this is the era of proxy wars. Since the beginning of the century, from 9/11 onwards, there have been so many wars, and the military-industrial complex of the United States, the biggest terrorist in the world, have just, they have killed and maimed so many people, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And it continues today in Gaza. But this is exactly what will happen if you try and oppress the people, you suppress the people, you think you can put them into prisons, you think you can take away their land. No, the people will stand up and fight. And what has happened in Gaza, the operation of Gaza is a beacon to all of us to think that if they could do it under such humongous oppression and suppression, militarization of our lands, of their lands, of our lands, all of us can do that. It is a tremendous learning. And that is the key message which we have to learn from the operations in against Israel by the Palestinian forces. And I will end with that and say that it may look very dark, it may look very difficult, but it's actually very bright now, because now there is just no doubt to who the oppressors are. There is no doubt to the brutality of the US imperialism and its allies in Europe and Australia, and how they are creating a ring around us, trying to take away our lands, our democracies, our genuine democracies, our people's democracies. And so, of course, we have a very bright future, because we will be like Gaza, we will be like the revolutionaries of Philippines and Palestine and Kashmir, and go forward to fight and take back what is ours, to take back the inalienable right of self-determination. So I leave you with that. Thank you very much, all friends.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Azra, for that powerful closing message. Imperialism cannot be won without a very strong mass movement in our countries. Thank you also to our speakers, Kapang, Kathy, and to our reactors, Chinaya and Sister Pat. And at this point, we would also like to acknowledge comrades from Nepal, Indonesia, Europe, Pakistan, and other countries, and also the international organizations who are here with us tonight. So at this point, that's a wrap for the first leg of the Jose Maria Sison Study Campaign on the peasantry and the peasant agrarian movement. Please share the live stream of this webinar to your friends, colleagues, and networks, and we hope to see you in future events and campaigns as we strengthen our anti-imperialist global solidarity with the peasants. Thank you. Stand with peasants. Long live international solidarity.